Paratmanamekam jagadbijamadyam niriham nirakaram onkar vedyam yato jayate palyate yena vishvam tamisham bhajeli yate yatra vishvam. Hari Om Tat Sat. Hari Om Tat Sat. Hari Om Tat Sat. Dear devotees, today we are into the 7th session of the 7th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. So in the last class and a class before that, we had seen where Sri Krishna is saying that this attainment of the knowledge of Ishvara, it happens in and through several births. In the 19th verse, Sri Krishna had mentioned this very important point, that Bahunam Janmanam Ante Jnanavan Mam Prapatyate. This Jnanavan, he attains me. Prapadyate there means he attains me. He experiences me. The final experience of Ishvara is preceded by several lifetimes of a journey. Bahunam Janmanam Ante. And in every birth we are accumulating little by little samskaras and tendencies which is favorable to the emergence of the knowledge of Ishvara. In every lifetime, we are slowly, bit by bit, we are accumulating this tendency to experience Ishvara. And when the experience comes, when the real experience, Vijnanam comes, if you just remember, the Gita 7 chapters started with Sri Krishna's declaration that I am going to present to you both Jnanam as well as Vijnanam. Jnanam means the theoretical, conceptual knowledge of Ishvara, and Vijnanam refers to Anubhuti, a direct experience. And they are totally different kind. We may have an intellectual comprehension of the reality that is of one kind. Yet that is a very big, great attainment. Even to have the right mental comprehension of the reality is not a small thing. Because most of us, we have all kinds of imaginary ideas about Ishvara. If you just look into the humanity, people are living with all kinds of imaginary ideas about the ultimate reality. So that even the right comprehension, mental comprehension of the supreme reality has to come through the right source. And that source is Shastras, Guru. So anyhow, Sri Krishna says that in several births we go on accumulating little by little this tendency, this samskara, the impressions which are favorable to the emergence of the knowledge of Ishvara. This is going on. And when the experience comes, and the experience will come only in the last life, or in the last life, suppose if this is your last life, we can just presume, suppose this is your last life. That means in this life you are going to experience Ishvara. So last life and experience of Ishvara, they go hand in hand. So when this experience comes, what is going to be the experience? Vasudeva Sarvamidhi. Can you imagine? This is the culmination of so-called knowledge. We talk about knowledge, knowing many things. Knowing many things is not knowledge. Knowing the one thing is the ultimate knowledge. The one thing alone which is existing. So the culmination of all pursuit of knowledge, human being is essentially a knowledge seeker. Even in the world, you see, we are seeking knowledge. Even in the physical realm, we are continuously seeking knowledge. But none of this knowledge is going to fulfill the human being. The culmination of this pursuit of knowledge is the knowledge of Ishvara, knowing which everything becomes known. Kasminnu bhagavo vigyate sarvamidam vigyatam bhavati. It's a great question which is raised in the Mundaka Upanishad. What is that one thing, knowing which everything becomes known? And that one thing is the knowledge of Ishvara. When you know the clay, you know everything made up of clay. Whether it is in the shape of jar, whether it is in the shape of pot, whether it is in the shape of a tumbler or a plate, everything that is made out of clay, the mystery above that is resolved. So here everything that we are seeing is actually Ishvara in so many forms. So the climax of the so-called knowledge will be what? Vasudeva Sarvamiti Samahatma Sadurlabha. Now, what is the biggest obstacle in the path of the attainment of this knowledge? The biggest obstacle, in fact the only obstacle, is what? Kama. Kama. Kama means what? Desire. Desire for the so-called attractive, pleasurable objects of this world. This desire, kama, as long as kamana is there for the different objects of pleasures of this world, this knowledge cannot come. Because it is this kamana which is hijacking the human mind in the wrong direction. So kamai stai ritagyana. We become ritagyana. We become deprived of jnanam. Owing to kamana. Owing to the desires for the different objects of pleasure of this world, we become deprived of this supreme knowledge. And not only that, we then prapadyante anyadevata. We then go and fall at the feet of the different deities, this God, that God, in order to fulfill our desires for the things of the world. We go and fall at the feet of those deities which supply us with what we want. And not only that, then we begin to worship it. And when we worship these deities, we do it with utmost faith. And most interesting thing, Sri Krishna is saying that it is I who strengthen this faith in them. These people who are going and falling at the feet of the different deities to get their different desires for different things of this world fulfilled, it is I who am strengthening that faith inside them. See the play. And with that faith, they worship those deities. They follow all the rules regarding the worship of those deities, and their wish gets fulfilled. They get what they want. Again, an interesting point is that now these people, they think that these deities, these gods and goddesses have fulfilled their wish. Whereas Sri Krishna says that they don't know that their wish has become fulfilled not by these deities but by me, in and through these deities. It is Ishvara who is existing in the form of all these gods and goddesses. All the different gods and goddesses that we have, these gods and goddesses are nothing but the different forms of that one Saguna Brahman, Ishvara. So people think that their wishes are getting fulfilled in and through these deities, whereas the truth is that it is that Param Ishvara, Parameshvara, the Saguna Brahman, which is fulfilling the wishes of the so-called these seekers of different objects of pleasure belonging to this world, and they think that it is this particular deity which has fulfilled their wish. This is the play which is going on. Then Sri Krishna says, now a person who is going and worshipping a certain god, a certain deity, and his wish gets fulfilled. He got what he wanted. Now what he got, that fruit of his worship, that phalam, whatever he gets through these deities, Sri Krishna is saying that this fruit is going to be impermanent, temporary. It is destructible. It is finite. Antavattu phalam tesham tad bhavati alpamedhasam. These alpamedhasa means these people who have a very narrow intelligence. Their understanding is very, very gross and the range of their understanding is very narrow. They don't have the understanding of the true reality. And their understanding being very narrow, with that narrow understanding, they approach the narrow aspect of reality, seek what they want, and their desire is getting fulfilled, and what they get out of this kind of a worship, that fruit is also going to be limited and destructible. It is not going to be permanent. So Sri Krishna says that, now Shankaracharya makes a very beautiful comment there. These people, they go and worship these so-called small deities to get their desires fulfilled. They could have straight away come to me. Instead of going to these deities, they could have straightly got connected with Parameshvara. Not doing that, they get connected with the small deities. Shankaracharya says that the effort to get connected either to the small deities or to Parameshvara, the effort is same. The effort, the labor, going and worshipping a certain kind of a deity to get your desires fulfilled, the effort needed for that, and the effort needed to be connected with Parameshvara, the effort is same. But the fruit would have been totally different. The fruit coming from the so-called worshipping a particular small deity, that fruit will be limited. But if that devotee gets connected with me, the Parameshvara, he could have got an infinite fruit, a fruit which will never get destroyed. So the fruit coming from the so-called narrowness of the human mind, going and getting connected with the so-called, the small aspect of Parameshvara, that fruit is going to be limited. But if that devotee had connected straight away with me, Parameshvara, and in and through the right kind of bhakti, that devotee could have got infinite fruit. That is a beautiful point which Shankaracharya makes here. In this way, here, see, this is a beautiful picture. Sri Krishna wants us to understand that. Do not waste your time by going and falling at the feet of so-called the different deities for the small pleasurable objects of this world. Because even if you get those small pleasurable objects of this world, they are all going to be destructible and impermanent. Antavattu. They are all antavan. Antavan means they have got an end. No matter what you get in and through these deities, these so-called fruits of this kind of a worship is going to be impermanent, destructible. Come to me. Sri Krishna is calling us. Instead of going here and there, come to me. Now, me means what? That is the next issue. Come to me. Me means what? Now here comes the very beautiful subject of incarnation, avatar. From time to time, we all know that. The great declaration which Sri Krishna made in the 4th chapter, Yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati bharata abhyutthanam adharmasya tadatmanam srujamyaham paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya dushkrutam dharma samsthapanarthaya sambhavami yuge yuge sambhavami. Beautiful statement. So from time to time, yuge yuge, aham sambhavami. Parameshwara is saying, now what is Krishna? Now again, this is a very, very vital point. We are seeing a certain human form. But what is existing behind this human form, we fail to understand that. We see divinity manifested in a certain human form. Now, that is the subject matter of the next 2 verses. And this also comes in the 9th verse also. I will just touch upon that also. So the point here is, from time to time, this Parameshwara, this Saguna Brahman, let me tell one point. Ishvara means Saguna Brahman, nothing else. This Saguna Brahman is what is appearing in the form of this world. This is Saguna Brahman. It is this Saguna Brahman which is appearing in the form of all the jivas. This we have seen. Para Prakriti and Apara Prakriti. Both together is Ishvara, the Saguna Brahman. This is the total picture of reality, the ultimate picture of reality. In fact, whatever we are seeing is Ishvara and Ishvara alone. It is not that Ishvara is going to come at a certain point of time in future. Whatever we are seeing is actually, literally, it is Ishvara's so many forms. But from time to time, Ishvara's one special form, a special manifestation takes place. And this takes place for a certain, a very clear-cut, a definite purpose. Sri Krishna's own statement, that purpose is what? Dharma Sanstapana. Whenever this great dharma, Adhyatmic dharma, you can take it, the term dharma means what it can be. Dharma is a very vast term, a term with so many meanings. You can take it in the sense that whenever righteousness goes down in society and unrighteousness rises in society, or you may take it in this way, when slowly spirituality begins to vanish from society and materialism, Bhautikavada, increases in society, when this kind of a situation comes, at that time, this very Saguna Brahman, Ishvara, assumes a special human form, not the human form like yours and me. When Ishvara comes in a certain human form, that birth of Ishvara is not the way you and I are born. There is a huge difference. We are born driven by our own karma. We are born in this body. All of us. It is our own past karma which has made us assume this so-called human birth. And we are all in ignorance. 2 things. The jiva is born in ignorance, and his karma is what makes the jiva take up a certain kind of a body. It can be human body, it can be a non-human body also, anything. As we are in this human body, let us understand this point. It is our karma which has made us take birth or be born in this human body. But these special manifestations, I always refer to avatars as special manifestations. We are also manifestations of that very Ishvara, but we are not special manifestations. We are ordinary manifestations. Avatara is a special manifestation, not born out of ignorance, not born out of karma and karma phala. It is a spontaneous manifestation of that Ishvara taking place for a certain purpose. Now, what happens when this kind of a manifestation comes? When this kind of a manifestation comes, what happens? Let me first take up the 9th chapter's 1 verse. Then I'll come back to this verse. We have to study 3 verses here. It's a beautiful, very fascinating aspect of the realm of spirituality and very significant. See, our bhakti is centered on Ishvara. Ishvara's different forms. Bhakti is always centered on Ishvara and Ishvara's different forms. But bhakti becomes most easy when our love is centered on a certain human form of Ishvara, which is a special manifestation known as avatar. Fixing our mind on an avatar and loving Ishvara in and through that form is the easiest way of approaching Parameshvara. But there are certain problems here. If somebody can understand that this particular form which I am seeing, it is that very Parameshvara special manifestation, if one understands, then the job is over. In the 4th chapter itself, Sri Krishna is saying, Janma karma cha me divyam evam yo veti tatvatah tyaktva deham punarjanma naiti mameti sorjuna. Any person who succeeds in recognizing, it's a matter of recognition. We recognize somebody. I recognize this person is so and so. This person is so and so. We recognize. Similarly, if somebody succeeds in recognizing this is Ishvara in a special form, that very recognition is sufficient. And if that person understands that this is a special manifestation, Janma karma cha me divyam evam yo veti tatvatah, anyone who understands it correctly, that the birth of an incarnation and the activities of incarnation, what is the nature of that? If somebody understands that correctly, that person, when that person dies, is never born again. Means that person will become liberated. That means recognizing an incarnation is a very, very important thing. How many person can recognize it? It's a big, big question. So, let me go to the 9th chapter's 11th shloka. 9th chapter's 11th shloka says, there Krishna says, Avajananti mam mudha manushim tanumashritam param bhavam ajananto mama bhuta maheshwaram. Extremely important shloka Krishna is telling here. Sri Krishna is saying, not knowing my supreme nature as Ishvara, not knowing my supreme nature as Ishvara, Lord of all beings. Ishvara is the Lord of all beings. Bhuta Maheshwaram. I am the Maha Ishvara of all the Bhutas. I am that Parameshvara, the very self of all the so-called living entities. Not knowing this, foolish people disregard me, who have taken a human body. Beautiful point. That Parameshvara, Saguna Brahman, assumes a Manushim Tanum. Manushim Tanum means what? A human body. That Parameshvara, which is Bhuta Maheshwaram, which is the very Lord of all the so-called entities, that Ishvara has assumed a human body. But the so-called, the ordinary people of this world, and the word used is foolish people, means ignorant people, dull-witted people, people steeped in ignorance. Avajananti means they deride, they look down upon, they disregard this special manifestation. Avajananti ma mudha, foolish people, they disregard when I, that Ishvara, begins to act in and through a human form. That is the thing. Here we are talking about that Saguna Brahman playing in and through or acting in and through a special human form. What a beautiful, it's one of the most fascinating aspects of divine realm. From the Upanishad standpoint, everything is divine. We are also the manifestations of the same Saguna Brahman. But we are ordinary manifestations. But this manifestation is a special manifestation. But when the special manifestation comes, the foolish people, they deride, they look down upon this manifestation. Why? Because parambhava majananto. They don't know my real nature. They don't know what is behind that small, frail human framework. We are looking into that small human framework, is it not? Is small. When the Saguna Brahman, Ishvara, begins to play through a human form, outwardly that human framework is just like you and me. Where is the difference? When Saguna Brahman, that Parameshwara, comes in a human form, that Saguna Brahman, Ishvara, it also behaves just like you and me. It is eating, it is drinking, it is feeling hungry, it is drinking water. It is getting hurt. It is going to the doctor. It is sleeping. It is just doing things like you and me. Outwardly, we won't be able to understand. But parambhava majananto. Behind that small human framework, what is exactly existing, a common man doesn't understand that. And that's why, not understanding it, foolish people look down upon it, deride it, and even insult it. This is what happens in the common, so-called common plane of the plane of existence where common people exist. So here, let us take some examples. The so-called ordinary man or the ordinary woman, we fail to understand what this manifestation is. Now you see, if you go back to Treta Yuga, when that very Parameshwara took the form of Bhagavan Ram, it is said that how many people knew that this is that Parameshwara in the form of Bhagavan Ram? No one could understand it. Everyone considered him to be just like, everyone considered him to be Dasharatha Putra, the son of Dasharatha, that's all. It is said that just hardly 12 rishis knew who is this person. Behind that human framework, what is exactly playing? Who is playing? The question is, as far as the human framework is concerned, it is the same like you and me. But behind that human framework, what is exactly, who is that entity which is playing in a very special manner, with a special mission, that the common man fails to understand. Hardly 10 or 12 rishis could understand that it is Parameshwara Mahavishnu which has come down in the form of Bhagavan Ram for a certain purpose. Sri Krishna. Sri Krishna, how many people during his lifetime knew that he is that very Parameshwara come down in a human form to accomplish a certain mission? How many? No one, just a few. Everybody considered him to be Vasudeva and Devaki's son, or Nanda and Yashoda's son. When he was in Gokul, he was known as Nanda and Yashoda's son. He was known to be a cowherd. Everyone treated him. Most interesting thing is that in Sri Krishna's life, even as a small baby, that baby was displaying such unthinkable spiritual powers, but in spite of that, nobody could understand who this baby was. If you read Bhagavatam, you will find what all things the small boy was doing as a small baby. But still, nobody could understand exactly who this baby is. People looked upon him as a cowherd and as the son of Nanda and Yashoda. And as he grew up, everyone, for he was a friend of all, Sakha. He was Arjun's Sakha. He was a friend of everybody, of the Pandavas. Very few people knew who he was. In fact, he was even blamed of robbery. He was even blamed for a robbery, robbering a necklace. That is a different story. So see, even that special manifestation, Ishvara, when it begins to play through a human body, it has to go through all this amazing kind of experiences. Avajananti ma modha manushim tanumashritam. If you come down to, we can take another example of Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ, we believe he is the special manifestation of Ishvara. What happened? He was accused to be an impostor, and finally he was nailed to the cross and crucified by the common man. Avajananti ma mudha manushim tanumashritam. When Ishvara appears in a human form and begins to play, begins to act in and through a human framework, the common people don't understand this, and such things do happen. That very form of Ishvara was crucified. There was a mission, there was a purpose behind it, whatever it is. You can take our own Sri Ramakrishna. Let us come down to our own Sri Ramakrishna. How many people during Sri Ramakrishna's time could understand that this is a special manifestation of Parameshwara? How many? He was a mad Brahmin of Dakshineshwar. Literally, mad Brahmin being criticized by the common man. How many people could understand this is a special manifestation during his lifetime? Very few. Now it is very fascinating that even his greatest Yugacharya, his own heartthrob disciple, Swami Vivekananda, at that time Narendranath, how many years it took for Narendranath to understand who Sri Ramakrishna is? Narendranath had come to Sri Ramakrishna in 1881. And 1886, the last few days of Sri Ramakrishna's life. See, Sri Ramakrishna suffering from cancer. You can have cancer, I can have cancer. But the special manifestation of Parameshwara is also having cancer. Outwardly you will see it is just like any one of us. What is the difference? But that is a special play which is going on. Naren has been seeing Sri Ramakrishna's spiritual powers, his spiritual samadhi, means mesmerizing kind of spiritual display of spiritual states, moment to moment. Every now and then Sri Ramakrishna is going into samadhi. This Narendranath had seen for years together. Not 1 day, 2 days, not 1 month, 2 months, not 1 year, 2 years. For 6 long years, Naren has been continuously seeing this amazing phenomenon of spiritual glory in and through this so-called human framework called Sri Ramakrishna. Where is Sri Ramakrishna? It is Saguna Brahman. I always tell this point. Where is Sri Ramakrishna? It is same Saguna Brahman, but it's a special form of that Saguna Brahman. In spite of seeing this spiritual glory for 6 long years, now see, we are talking about not an ordinary person. We are talking about Narendranath, the greatest spiritual teacher of the modern times, Swami Vivekananda. Even during the last days of Sri Ramakrishna, when Sri Ramakrishna is lying on a so-called deathbed in Kashipur, suffering from cancer, Narendranath is just thinking. He is not even speaking. He is thinking in his mind. Standing in front of Sri Ramakrishna, he is thinking in his mind, at this moment, if Sri Ramakrishna says that he is an avatara, I will accept it. That means Narendranath had not accepted this fact till the last days of Sri Ramakrishna's life. But that very moment. Now, who is Sri Ramakrishna? He is Parameshwara, Saguna Brahman. He is the very self of this Narendranath. See, understand the play. Saguna Brahman is the very self of this entity called Narendranath. It knows what is happening in Narendranath's mind. That Saguna Brahman is the Antaryami. Is it not? Where is Sri Ramakrishna? It is Saguna Brahman. The moment this thought comes in this Narendranath's mind, that even at this stage, when Sri Ramakrishna is on his deathbed and suffering from cancer, Narendranath is thinking, if he admits that he is the incarnation, I will accept it. He is just thinking about it. No, Saguna Brahman, Antaryami, it's seeing what is the play which is going on in Narendranath's mind. Immediately Sri Ramakrishna talks with great difficulty. He was having throat cancer, unable to speak. Sri Ramakrishna says, "Oh Naren, even now this doubt? 6 long years you have seen my drama, still you have this doubt. See, Avajana." No, we cannot put Swami Vivekananda in the category of ordinary people. No, the point is how difficult it is to recognize, to know the special manifestation. If this can happen with a person of Swami Vivekananda's stature, what to talk about the ordinary people? So Sri Ramakrishna is saying, Naren, even now this doubt, that one who had come in the Treta Yuga as Ram, and the one who had come, that's Tom point, it's a very beautiful point. The one who had come in the Treta Yuga as Sri Ram, that one who had come in the Dwapara Yuga as Sri Krishna, that one has come now as this Ramakrishna. What is that one he is referring to? That is the topic which we are studying here. That Saguna Brahman, that Parameshwara, from time to time it assumes a human framework for a certain purpose. Not only that, Sri Ramakrishna says, the one who came in the Treta Yuga as Ram, and the one who came in the Dwapara as Krishna, that very one has come now as Ramakrishna. Not in your Vedantic sense. A very important point. What do you mean by not in the Vedantic sense? In the pure Vedantic sense, we are all the manifestations of that very one. We are also the manifestations, all of us, we are all nothing but Saguna Brahman. Let us understand. This is the way Upanishads teaches us our divinity. Let us not underestimate ourselves. Our true identity is one with that. Now that is the whole struggle. Struggle to recognize divinity in the avatara, struggle to recognize our own divinity. That is the point. The whole struggle is to recognize our own divinity. We are all divine. There is no other meaning to our existence apart from divinity. So not in the Vedantic sense, Sri Ramakrishna says. Not in the Vedantic sense means what? From the Vedantic standpoint, everybody is the manifestation of that Parameshwara. But these manifestations, Ram, Krishna and Ramakrishna, these manifestations are not the common manifestations like you and me. They are the special manifestations. That's the difference. So you see, in this verse, we find this great problem. When that Parameshwara comes down in a human form, the common people, They fail to recognize him, and not only fail to recognize him, owing to that failure, they even deride him, insult him. We know what all horrible things have happened in Sri Ramakrishna's life. There was one pujari in Dakshineshwar who went and even bet him up. See the play. Again, it's all play which is going on. We may look at it from our human angle and we may feel very bad. Definitely we'll feel very bad about it. Even if somebody else is beaten, we feel bad about it. What to talk about the special manifestation going through such an experience? But that's the nature of this inscrutable play which goes on when the divinity comes and acts in and through a human form, human framework. Now this is the subject matter. Now let us go back to our 7th chapter, 24th verse. There, Sri Krishna is saying, beautiful. Avyaktam vyaktimapannam manyante mama buddhayah param bhavamajananto mama vyayamanutamam. Vyaktim apannam, manifested in a human form. But who is manifested in a human form? Avyaktam. That which is beyond the so-called human form, that which is transcendent to the human form, that unsurpassable, that Parameshwara, which is beyond our so-called vision, that infinite reality manifests in the form of a human being. But the common people, they fail to understand that. And what do? Avyaktam vyaktimapannam manyante mam abuddhayah. Abuddhaya means people who are unintelligent, or we may say people who are dull-witted or who lack proper discrimination. These so-called dull-witted people, they consider this to be just like a human being. They think that this is also just like anyone else. But actually, avyaktam vyaktimapannam manyante mam abuddhayah param bhavamajanantu. Why it is happening like this? Because of the absence of the knowledge of the param, the supreme nature of this manifestation. Param bhavam ajananto mama avyayam anuttamam. What is my supreme nature? The supreme nature of Ishvara is what? Avyayam, unchanging and anuttamam. Anuttamam means unsurpassable. There is nothing greater than Parameshwara. Not knowing that supreme nature of Ishvara, it is that Ishvara which has taken the form of this so-called human framework. Not knowing this, the so-called ordinary, dull-witted, unintelligent people, they think that he is just a human being. This is the problem. And then what? Why is it happening like this? What is the reason for their ignorance? Sri Krishna says so beautifully, Naham prakasha sarvasya yogamaya samavritah mudhoyam nabhijanati loko mamajamavyayam. Sri Krishna says here, being enveloped by yoga maya, I do not become manifest to all. This deluded world does not know me who am birthless and undecaying. So beautiful. Why is that the common man fails to recognize this special manifestation? What is the reason? Sri Krishna himself is giving the reason. Actually, whom to blame? None to blame. We are just trying to see the facts. This is the fact of the so-called, the drama which is going on at this human plane. Even when Ishvara comes in a human form, we fail to recognize it. Why? Naham prakashaha. I am not revealed. I am not manifest to the common eyes. I am not revealed to the common eyes. Naham prakashaha sarvasya. To the common man and the common woman, I am not revealed. Why? Yoga maya samavritaha. Avritaha. I cover myself by the wheel of Yoga Maya, a beautiful term. When that Parameshwara assumes an human form, that is inscrutable. He himself is covering his real nature by the wheel of Yoga Maya. Yoga Maya means nothing but Maya. We don't have to make a big fuss about it. Shankaracharya beautifully comments, yoga means what? Combination. Yoga means coming together. Combination. Combination of what? Combination of three gunas. Maya is trigunatmik. So the combination of the three gunas, which is Maya. It is this wheel of Maya by which that very Parameshwara, which is assuming a human form, by this very wheel of Maya, that Parameshwara is covering himself, and no one is in a position to recognize what this special manifestation is. So, Naham Prakasha Sarvasya. I am not revealed to everyone. Why? Yoga Maya Samashrita. Mudho Ayam. Mudho Ayam Loko. This Loka, this world, the world which is Mudha. Mudha means foolish. Mudha means undiscriminating, means those who don't have viveka. Mudha literally means absence of viveka, absence of the right understanding. So this world which is gripped by the absence of the right understanding means unintelligent people. Nabhijanati. They don't recognize me. They do not understand. Who am I? Me who am what? Lokomam Ajam Avyayam. Me who am Ajam. Ajam means I am unborn. Now see, can there be birth of Ishvara? Literally speaking, Ishvara is always existing. But through his own Maya, he assumes a human form. Actually, he is birthless. In and through Maya, he appears to be taking birth. That is why 4th chapter, Janma Karma Cha Me Divyam. My Janma is Divyam. My Karma is also Divyam. Ishvara is Ajanma. It is unborn. But in and through its own Maya, it voluntarily, for a certain purpose, assumes a certain human body. That is the nature of his birth. His birth is not like the birth of you and me. It's a special kind of a birth. So this, my true nature, which is Ajam, unborn, and Avyayam. Avyayam means unchanging. So Ishvara, who is unborn and unchanging, in and through his own Maya, is coming down in the human form, and because he has covered himself by the wheel of Maya, the so-called the foolish world is unable to understand what this manifestation is. I don't want to take this further. One last example I'll give, and let us stop here. We'll meet next class. I'm tempted to talk about one more personality, Sri Sarada Devi, Holy Mother. The most perplexing kind of a divine manifestation which we see in the history of our spiritual domain. Most perplexing. She is believed to be a special manifestation, but most difficult to recognize. Now, should I talk about it? You can't talk about it. She is just looking like any other ordinary human being. She is that Mahamaya, that Paramesha Shakti itself. But in a female framework, looking just like any one of the so-called other ladies or women existing in this world. sometimes appearing so helpless, sometimes not often behaving just like any other woman in our household. That infinite power through her own yoga maya, how she has hidden her true nature, it is the most fascinating, one of the most fascinating manifestations of divinity which we have in our account. We can't deny this point. This 9th chapters, that shloka where Sri Krishna is saying that avajananti mam moda manushim tanumashritam param bhavam ajananto mama bhuta maheshwaram. I am the Ishvara of everybody, but avajananti, I undergo all kinds of insulting kinds of experiences. Now you can look into Holy Mother's life. If Sri Ramakrishna had not told who she is, if Swami Vivekananda had not told to us who she is, no one could have understood who she is. We come to know about this manifestation only in and through Sri Ramakrishna's words, through Swami Vivekananda's words, and sometimes Mother also has spoken about her true nature. Sometimes accidentally this yoga maya, that wheel of maya, as if it is removed for some time and something accidentally comes out of Mother's mouth and the thing gets revealed for a few moments. Again it gets covered. This is what we find in Holy Mother's life. If Ramakrishna had not told who she is, I always say we have 3 sources of understanding, Sri, Sri, Ma, Sri Sharda Devi. Without these 3 sources, it is impossible to understand this manifestation. Impossible. Just by reading Holy Mother's life, you will see this is just a life of any other woman. Where is the difference? Just like any other, our mothers we have seen in our house. They get up early in the morning, the same cooking, the same cleaning, their housekeeping, this, that, going on. What is so special about it? The way here Maya hides that Ishvara in this form, it is something most fascinating, which we find it more fascinating than in Sri Ramakrishna's life. Because in Sri Ramakrishna's life, at least the spiritual phenomenon is so blazingly manifested. At least you see so much of spiritual glory in that. But in Ma's life, even that is not there. It is not that Mother is sitting in Samadhi whole day, as Sri Ramakrishna. Does it mean that she doesn't have Samadhi? So somebody has said, no, she doesn't have to go into Samadhi. She is the one who gives Samadhi to others. Can you understand? Somebody says, if Sri Ramakrishna is having Samadhi every now and then, and we, of course, everybody is fascinated by that. But who is giving the Samadhi? Who is making the Samadhi possible? That Divine Mother. And so-called Sharda Devi is just that. She is the giver of Samadhi. But how does she look outwardly? Can anyone make out? Today it is easy for you and me to talk about her. If Sri Ramakrishna had not spoken about her, if Swami Vivekananda had not spoken about her, and if she herself had not accidentally blurted out her true nature at some moment, at some places, we would never have understood who she is. So this is the mystery of the so-called the special manifestation of Parameshwara. When this manifestation... Now see, why this topic came here. The 7th chapter is essentially a chapter from 7th chapter, not 7th chapter, from 7th to 12th. It's all Bhakti Prakarana. Here all it is Saguna Brahman. First 6 chapters of Bhagavad Gita is Nirguna Brahman. It's all Atman, 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 Atman. The other side, the transcendent side. From 6th chapter to 12th chapter, it's very beautiful. Here it is Saguna. So beautiful. That very thing which is transcendent is now immanent. And when you talk about Saguna Brahman, now it's all bhakti. Now, from the Saguna Brahman standpoint, whatever is existing is all Ishvara and Ishvara alone. There is no meaning to you, me, and this world. Actually speaking, there is nothing like Jiva and Jagat. The Jiva and Jagat is only existing in ignorance. What is actually existing here, this very moment, is Ishvara and Ishvara alone. Shankaracharya says, we have never seen in our life anything apart from Ishvara. But could we understand that? We are not understanding this point. To make us understand that, all the scriptures. Now, if everything is Ishvara, that Ishvara comes down in a special way also, so that we bhaktas can love bhakti. To facilitate bhakti, that Parameshwara comes down in a human form. Because loving a human form of Parameshwara is the easiest way by which we can approach Parameshwara. Loving a human manifestation of Parameshwara, Saguna Brahman, is the easiest way. In and through, we can dissolve ourselves in Saguna Brahman. That is the utility. That is why this Ishvara comes down in human form. That is why, see, all the so-called avatars, they are all the focuses of supreme bhakti. See the way Bhagavan Ram has conquered the very psyche of people. There is nothing without Ram, is it? See, the very name Ram has gone into the very blood of the people of Indians and all of the world. Even vocabulary is like that. Ram ki ichha, Ram Naam. हम जब मरते हैं तो कहते हैं राम नाम सत्य है. Everything is associated with Ram. This bhakti for that one form of Parameshwara, Ram. So these special manifestations, they become the center of love. Love for what? Parameshwara in and through that particular form. Krishna, the center of love, bhakti, so beautiful. You are loving that form, but you should know what that form is, what is behind that form. It is same Saguna Brahman. Now, Sri Ramakrishna, we should know what is this form. It is the same Saguna Brahman, Ishvara. In and through your love for this form, you are getting connected with that Parameshwara. To facilitate this bhakti, that supreme Ishvara comes down from time to time in a human form. So this is the Veda program. But the problem is, it is so difficult to recognize. Because when Ishvara comes in a human form, he appears to be very ordinary. Outwardly, he is just like you and me. Very few people can recognize. But bhaktas can recognize. I am sorry, I have not spoken about that. Naham prakasha sarvasya. Shankaracharya makes a very significant statement there. I am not revealed to all. But there is a qualification there. Bhaktas, they understand me. He says, so beautiful. Bhaktas, they will understand me. Those who have devotion, those who are surrendered to me, those who have taken refuge in me, they will be able to understand. Bhaktas. To others, I am not revealed. For the common man, they will think, we're just a human being. But bhaktas, because of their bhakti, because of their samarpana, because of their taking refuge at the feet of the Supreme Parameshwara, because of that state of mind, they will be able to recognize. So, this manifestation is meant for bhaktas, so that bhaktas can strengthen their bhakti in and through this special manifestation. That is the purpose of this matter. Others, they cannot do that. So let's stop here. And next class, now we are coming to I think next class will be the last few verses. We will finish up this 7th chapter in the next class. And it's a beautiful, another very important subject is coming now. Again, what is the impediment to this bhakti? Earlier, the impediment to the bhakti was shown to be kamana. But there is another one factor which will be taken up in the next class. Very important, very significant. Ichha dvesha samuthena dvandva mohena bharatah sarva bhutani sammoha. Amazing statement. Very important. and very practical. Unless we rise above this disease of Ichcha and Dvesha, we can never have bhakti in our life. So this we will take it up in next class. And most probably in the next class we will be ending up this 7th chapter. After that, one more class we will have in which we will summarize the whole of 7th chapter. So we can have 2 more class of the 7th chapter. Next class, the last few verses. And the class after that, in that we will take up the whole of the 7th chapter together as a summary of the 7th chapter. Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Tat Sat.